This ain't no game, boy. Some things in this life you can't get back.
Can you do this?
Yes, you can.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 Western Rust. The film is co-written and directed by Joel Souza, and it stars Alec Baldwin, who also co-wrote the project. We have Josh Hopkins, Patrick Scott McDermott, Travis Fimmel, Francis Fisher and Xander Berkeley. Right, okay, the film focuses on a young man called Lucas. He is only really a very young teenager, and he's having to look after his younger brother. His parents are dead, his mother fairly recently, and he's really struggling to make a go of it on his ranch. He accidentally kills a neighbouring ranchman after he's going after a wolf. He is sentenced then to hang because people think it's been done deliberately. However, one night in jail before he's due to be hung, he is broken out of prison by Alec Baldwin's character, who is simply called Harlan Rust. He breaks him out because essentially it's his grandfather, and he takes him on the run. And what follows is essentially a bounty hunter and a group of lawmen that are trying to chase them down to see that justice is upheld. Right. What are my thoughts on Rust? Well, this film has the, I suppose, unpleasant moniker of being more famous for something else than actually the film itself. And if you don't know, this is that film where the cinematographer... I mean, this originally started filming this in 2021. And there was an accident on set. A gun was handed to Alec Baldwin to use that actually went off and killed the cinematographer of that at the time, Hayley Hutchins, which is obviously a tragedy. Now, what followed is a number of years of legal battles and court cases, so on and so forth. Alec Baldwin being the executive producer and all this kind of stuff is being hauled in front of the courts, and ultimately, to my knowledge anyway, no charges have ever been made to stick with Alec Baldwin. I believe the gunsmith on set was charged. I don't know the ins and outs of the court case. However, very messy stuff, and it's always tragic when this sort of thing happens on a film set. The last time I remember it happening was on the set of The Crow, where Brandon Lee was tragically killed. So it's not a regular occurrence, I think it's safe to say. So it was a devastating accident, and it has kind of made the film infamous, I suppose. So obviously this is like a bit of a passion project for Alec Baldwin and the director, who was also injured apparently, Joel Souza. So they were committed to kind of remaking this film, restarting the project back up, but they had to kind of do it with a different cast, really, because many of the cast, I think Jensen Ackles was cast in the original Rust, but he couldn't do it this time round because of schedule conflicts and all this kind of stuff, so they've had to kind of rejig it all and start it again. And essentially, I mean, what we get here, if you strip away all the drama, all the tragedies, and everything that's associated with this film, what you're left with is actually a very thoughtful, slow burn of a Western that's actually made with a lot of care, and is a very nice watch for the most part. It's not a Hollywoodized Western. It's, like I say, it's quite slow paced. It feels real to its time, sort of thing. So I think what they've delivered here is a nice Western. Beyond that, though, it is nothing else. It's nothing special. It's not what I would describe as overly memorable. It's essentially one of those kind of coming of age stories, I suppose. This boy, this teenager, young man, who, is going to be hung, and is rescued by his grandfather, who he's never met before, doesn't even know who he is, and struggles to kind of understand what's going on and accept everything that's going on. So he's got his hands full, Alec Baldwin, initially trying to get this young man kind of to listen and do as he's told and understand, that actually this is the only way. There is no other way for you to live. So, you've got to kind of come around to that idea. And then you've got like the sheriff of that town, who's a very accomplished gunslinger in his own right, puts like a posse together to go after him and Lucas, his grandson, because Rust essentially has got something of a reputation. So they know he's not going to be like an easy takedown sort of thing. And then you've also got this Travis Fimmel character who is playing this pretty reprehensible bounty hunter who's also on the case because there's a lot of money being put up for this bounty, and he's only interested in collecting that himself, and he doesn't care how he goes about that. He kind of is quite happy to cut corners and break his own laws just to get to where he needs to be and get to the bounty that he wants to take in. And he thinks he's doing it for all the right reasons. He's one of these. He's almost like a preacher stroke bounty hunter, but he feels like a genuine threat, and that's something the film does quite well. The people that are going after them, they feel like a genuine threat. They do present Alec Baldwin's character Rust as, like I say, quite a he's got quite a reputation, and he doesn't take any crap sort of thing, and he is quite adverse in killing himself sort of thing. So whoever they send after him, you got to kind of believe that they are in quite a lot of trouble here, and they actually managed to balance that out quite well. So it's a very solid Western. I mean, there's not a great deal else to say with this. It's not, like I say, it's not one you're going to go away from and think, yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that again. It's quite downbeat, and it's not necessarily going to give you the outcome that potentially you're looking for at the end of the film. It's not here to kind of pander to an audience or anything like that. It's here to kind of tell a story, and it's quite a downbeat story, I suppose, in many ways. So I personally am glad that this has managed to get to the screen. It's had a really rough production, obviously. I think anyway that the widow of the cinematographer that unfortunately was killed on this, Hayley Hutchins, her former husband, I think, was given an executive producer credit on this. So they've done it. I think they've done it quite respectfully, and I think they've done the film justice. So I think Alec Baldwin and the director Joel Souza can hold their heads up high. It's a very nice Western. It's just not what I would describe as a very good Western or an outstanding Western or a memorable Western. It just does its job, and it does its job competently. So thanks for checking out this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, and I will of course be back with plenty more content on the channel very soon.